Good day, everyone. Today we shall be solving the questions that were sent home for the revision of quantitative. So I'll start immediately. Okay, let's look at this first sample. It says 16 so equals to 9. Then I'll just pick the other one. 15 V3 equals to 4. Now if you look at the first one properly, it's like saying 16 divided by 2, then that is 8, then you add 1 to your answer. So that's why you get this. That means divide, then add 1. Okay? If you look at this, 24 divided by 4 is 6. 6 plus 1 will give you 7. So you divide, then you add 1. Then this other one is the same thing. You divide, but you subtract 1. Divide and subtract 1. Divide and subtract 1. Then this other one, the same way, you divide and subtract 1. So 16 divided by 4, that is 4. 4 minus 1, that will give you 3. So the first question says 24 and 4. So for number 1, what do we do? Number 1 is the second sample. Okay, so what do? You divide and subtract 1. You divide and you subtract 1. So you do 24 divided by 4, that is 6. 6 minus 1 will give you 5. 6 minus 1 will give you 5. So that is the sample. So you use that same knowledge to do number 1 to 5. Number 5 is very simple. You do the first one, you get an answer. Then you do this other part, you get the answer. You now add it together to get the final answer. So that is what you do for number 1 to number 5. Now, for this sample, you see this. You have 4 equals to 16 and 2 dots equals to 4. Now, like I explained, the one with the double dots means you should multiply the number by itself, while the one with the single dot means you should add the number to itself. So 4 times 4 is 16, 2 plus 2 is 4. For this other sample, 3 times 3 is 9, but 2 plus 2 is 4. So when you add a single dot, you add, but when you add double dot, But when you have a single dot, you add. But when you have double dots, you what? You multiply. So for number 1, if you look at it, I'm going to talk about number 1, number 3, and number 5. So number 1 is double dot. So we do 5 times 5. Number 3 is single dot. So we do what? We do 14 plus 14. Then we get our answer. Then number 5, what do we do? First, you do, okay. Now for number 5, you have 4 and a single dot in the bracket. So we do 4 plus 4. We get our answer, then which is 4 plus 4, which is 8. Then 8 double dot means 8 times 8. Then we get our final answer. So I believe with that, we should be able to solve that sample that we have up there. So now let's move straight down to now the next sample. What do we do? If you look at it very well, it's even explained. Where you have this is well explained. It means you add the two numbers together and you what? Multiply it by 2. Where you have this, you can see, add the 2 together and multiply it by 2. So 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 times 2 will give you 14. then the other one, you subtract the two numbers that you have, then you multiply your answer by 2. 4 minus 3 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so that is what we do. Now, this number 1, I'll talk about number 1 and number 4. Okay, number 1 is the first sample, which will add the two together and multiply by 2. So 4 plus 4 will give us 8. 8 times 2 will give us 16. Then the second one, if you look at it very well, what we do is related to this second sample. So what do? We subtract the 2 and what? We multiply the answer by 2. 12 minus 3 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. So in this vein, I believe we can do number 2, number 3, and number 5. Now, for this, the question says how many triangles can you identify? Most people will say 4, but it's more than 4. And how do I know that it's more than 4? This is a triangle, this is another one, this is another one, this is another one. Now, if you look at it this way, this gives you the 5th triangle. And this side, it gives you the 6th triangle. The 6th triangle. Now, also, if I look at it this way, if I look at it the other way, using the other diagonal, I have the 7th and 8th triangle. So, in other words, the number of triangles I have here is 8. Okay, I have 8 triangles. Now, how many rectangles or how many angles are there? And angles are where two lines meet. And if you look at it, this is a line which meets here. So it gives us, so now like I said, using the other side, so we have 8 triangles. Now how many angles are there? Like I said, angles are where two lines meet. These are two lines that meet. That's a triangle. An angle. This is another line that meets. That's another angle, making 2. And this line is another one, making 3. So for each side, you have 3 angles. 3 angles. And that makes 12. 12 angles by this side. Now in the middle, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 12 plus 4, making 16. And that's not all. If you look at it, this is another one. This is another one, giving us 2. That's 18. Now, in another way, this is another one, and this is another one, making it, that's plus 2, that's 20. And if you look at it, if I want to do it in such a way that I want to take the reflex angle, I can say from here down to this point is another angle. And if I do that, I will have another 3 angles. Then if I now go the whole circle, that will be plus 1. So I have a total of 24 angles. So what I have there is a total of 24 angles. Now, how many right angles are there? Right angles are angles that give you a perfect perpendicular shape. Like take for example this, a perfect right angle. So if you look at it, it's just the angle at the edge or the angles at the edges. And if you look at it, we only have 4. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 4 right angles there. Now, what is the name given to line AOC? Now, this is line A, O is in the middle, and C is here because this A, B, C, and D. So line AOC, that is, let me show this properly so that you can see it well. Now, line A down to C is a straight line, and it is called a diagonal line. It is called a diagonal line. Okay, it's cutting it diagonally. So it's called a diagonal line. Now, line number 5, line AB is equal to DC. Now, this AB is equal to DC. Is that true or false? And the answer is true, because this line is equal to this line, as well as this line BC is equal to line AD. So that is very, very true. Now, down to part B, where you have combination of symbols and the unknown. Now, 4 asterisk 5 equals to 25, and 7 asterisk 3 equals to 24. What do you think has happened there? What I see that has happened there is that I add 1 to the first one and multiply by the second one. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Now, for the second one, I believe what we'll do is the same. But this time, we are adding 1 to the second part. So 4 plus 1 is 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 6 plus 1 is 7. 5 times 7 is 35. So in the first sample, I add 1 and multiply. I add 1 to the first one and multiply. But in the second sample, I add 1 to the second one and multiply. So that is what we do. So now, most times I see that you usually have issues solving when you are looking for either of the two numbers. Take, for example, for the first sample, you have 4 asterisk 5 equals to 25. So what if 4 is missing? What if 4 is missing? You remember that what you did was to add 1 to 4 and multiply. So you work it backwards, doing the opposite of what you have done. Since we multiply first, the first thing we'll do is to divide by that 5, giving us 5. And you know you added 1 to the answer, to the number to get 5. So what plus 1 will give you 5, and that is 4. So if you are looking for the first one, that is what you need to do. Divide by the second one and take away 1 from your answer, then you get your answer. Okay? Now, if you're looking for the second one, all you just need to do is to add 1 to the first one, divide by the answer to get the second one. Okay? So now, for number 3, where you are looking for the second one in the one that has to do with dots, same way, you just do 72 divided by the first one, which is 9. You now subtract the 1 that you added to the second one from that 9. So 9 minus 1 will give you the answer. So quickly, to the second sample. This one is just straightforward. You just add and subtract 1. Add the numbers together and subtract 1 from it. Or you subtract 1 from any one and add it together. So 7 plus 8, 15, minus 1, 14. 9 plus 5, 14, minus 1, 13. 13 plus 7, 20, minus 1, 20, 19. So that is what you do. So whatever you do, if you're looking for anyone, all you just need to do is to add 1 to the answer before you solve. So that is what we do for that sample. So with that, I believe we should be able to solve 4, 5, and 6. Now let's go to the next one, which has to do with this. This one is very straightforward. All you just need to do, for the one with the square, you add 2 to the first number and multiply with the second one. So you have 4 plus 2, which is 6. 6 times 3, which is 18. 5 plus 2, which is 7. 7 times 3, which is 21. Okay, that's what you do for the first one. And the one with the triangle, what you do is multiply the 2 times 6. You get your answer and you subtract 2 to get your final answer. So 3 times 8 is 24. 24 minus 2 will give you 22. So that is what you do in that sample. I believe this sample that we have here, we have done it previously. So we don't need to explain it anymore. So I believe you can also that. Okay, now for this week 4, I believe I've explained this also. So, but what you need to do is well explained. You multiply the two numbers and you add 2 to the answer. Multiply the two numbers and you add 2 to the answer. Now, for this second one, what does it say you should do? You subtract the two numbers and what? Multiply by 2. Now, for this next sample, you can see it's well explained. You add 2 to the first one before you multiply with the second one. Add 2 to the first one before you multiply by the second one. That means 5 plus 2. Now, for this sample, all we need to do is to add the two numbers and divide by 2. Like you do 4 plus 6, which is 10. Divide by 2, you get 5. So that's what we do for that sample. Now, let's quickly go on to the next sample, which we have down here. It says you square the two numbers and you subtract the squares. Take, for example, you have 4 squared, which is 16, minus 2 squared. So you have 16 minus 4, which you have 12. So for this, what do? First, you do 6 squared, which is 36, minus 4 squared, which is 16. You get your answer. Okay, and for this, you first do 4 squared, which is what? 16, minus 3 squared, which is 9. 16 minus 9 will give us what? 7. Then you now do 7 and 2. 7 squared will give you 49. 49 minus 4, then get your final answer. Now for this, it has given us what A is, what B is, and what C is. So C plus B minus A, that will just be 4 plus 5 minus 6. Then you get your answer. Same thing goes for number 30. A plus B minus C, you get your answer. Now quickly on to the magic square. The magic square, it's well explained. Get your...
I know magic square.
You first get the magic number, like it's done here. Then the magic number minus the two numbers that you have. So 19 minus 5 plus 7 to get F. That's what you do. Then for the other ones, I believe we can sort it out. You just find the numbers that... So for the other ones, in the magic square, is well explained. Get your magic number and use the magic number to get the other ones. Okay, so I will not dwell so much on the magic square because it is well explained. Now, the one we're going to talk about is now this shape. Now, for this shape, we have this diagram above is called a circle. It's a circle, so it's called a circle. If O is the center, then DO, line DO is called the radius. It's called the radius. While line AOB is a line that divides the circle into two equal parts, and it is called the what? The diameter. It's called the diameter. The diagram above, like we said, is a circle. Okay. Now, what's the name of the part marked DOB? DOB is a quadrant because it's a quarter of the circle. Okay. You are going home. You are going home, Idima. Like I said, the line BC is called a chord. Is a chord, and it separates. It's a line that cuts the circle into two unequal parts. So this is called a chord. Okay. Now, the curved line AC is called an arc, and the last person says, how many radii can you see? Radii is the plural form of radius. So how many radius can we see? There is 1, there is 1, there is 2, there is another one, 3, and this another one 4. So we can see a total of 4 value in that diagram. Now on to the next diagram. Now the question says the diagram above is called what? This is called a cylinder. A cylinder. Okay? And what is the shape of the base of this diagram? If you look at it, the base is circular in nature, so it is a circle. Okay? The base is a circle. How many plane faces? Plane faces is not a round part. It's a place that is flat. How many flat faces? Is another way of saying how many flat faces. This place is flat and this place is flat also. So you have 2 flat surfaces. Okay, so that is that about that. Now quickly, let's wrap up with these other samples. Now for this, it is well explained. 5b2 equals to 3. What do? You add 1 to the first number, okay, and you divide by the second one. Add 1 to the first number and you divide by the second one. So that's what you do in the first sample, okay. And the second sample, if you look at it, where you have okay. Now for the second sample, where you have 3 in bracket 2 times 5, it means you multiply the first number by itself, the number of times you have here. So meaning 3 into bracket 2 means 3 multiplied by itself twice. That's 3 times 3 minus the second one. So you do 3 times 3, 9, minus 5 to get your answer. 6 times 6, 36, minus 16 to get your answer. 5 times 5, 25, minus 7 to get your answer. So that is what you do in this sample. Now, lastly, let's go to the last sample. And the last sample says when you have 2 numbers, what do? You add the number together, like 3 and 2. You add it together, 3 plus 2, 5. You square your answer. Minus, you subtract the 2 answers, which is the 2 numbers, which is 3 minus 2, which is 1. 1 squared. So this will be 25 minus 1, which will give you 24. Okay, so that's what you do in that sample. Now for number 11, I'll do number 11 and number 15. For number 11, you do 4 plus 2, which is 6 squared. And 4 minus 2, which is 2 squared. So 6 squared is 6 times 6, and that's 36. 4 squared is 2 squared, is 2 times 2, which is 4. So 36 minus 4 will give us 32. Okay, and for the last one, you have 5 plus 5, which is 10 squared. 5 minus 5, which is 0 squared. 10 squared is 100 minus 0, that will give you 100. So you now do 105. 100 squared will give you 10,000. Okay. Oh, sorry, I just made a mistake. 100 minus 5, that's 9. 100 plus 5, that's 105. So you do 105 squared. 105 squared. Then 100 minus 5, that is 95 squared. So you get 105 squared, you get your answer. Then 95 squared, you get your answer. You now subtract the 2 to get your final answer. I believe this is helpful, and I believe it will go a long way to make sure you do your best in your exam. I wish you all the best in your exam. Bye for now.